A very good morning to you on this beautiful Friday morning. It is overcast out there. I didn't really look outside. I think it was a little bit sunny earlier. How is the weather where you are? Let me know. It's definitely turning colder and the evenings are shorter. So I love sort of this time of the year because this is when you can have like the fire on in the lounge, or be a bit more cozy, wrap yourself with big blankets in the evening, and you can just, I love sitting there and perhaps watching a bit of TV and creating and crafting and do all sorts of different things. So today we're going to look at macrame. I usually don't do macrame, so this is I feel it's so nice to do something very different sometimes. But I really want to do some very easy and quick Christmas decorations this year. So that we done the mini baubles last night, we done icicles last week, and these ones I just really love the creativity you can bring into and create all sorts of different sort of knots around your rings and have them as Christmas decorations. Good morning, Carol, Judith, Rachel, Camille. She says it's a bit chilly. I haven't been outside, but I suspect it's a bit chilly here as well. Elaine, good morning. Mina, Positive Angel, good morning. Edward, good morning as well. So there's so many different knots we can do. A normal square knot, which is this one, or this one is normal square knot as well. This is a spiral knot, which is the half the square knot. We done these ones before. This is lark's head. So I was wondering, I'm going to start with this one and show it to you because you can create all sorts of different different knots on these ones, and even further one. I think this one's got called the friendships knot. So there are so many different knots we could do and decorate our little rings with it, and I think each one of them looks really great. And just sort of play around with it. So I'm going to start with the lark's head. If you have time, we're going to recap on the spiral knot and the square knot as well, but I really want to show you this one. Now this one is, both of them is exactly the same, and I will show you how to create sort of loops around it as well if you wanted to. And then in these loops we can add little charms or little beads or anything else dangling down, probably not all the way around, but you could do a mixture of both. You could some of them sort of plain and have some of them with loops at the bottom. I think it just gives a little bit more to the texture of what we are doing. Now the base of this is memory wire, a 50mm memory wire. So we're gonna very quickly talk about how to cut and prepare your memory wire, and then we're gonna go into the sort of the knotting. I love all the different little sort of Christmas charms and something like this because they're quite flat. So if you are like me, you like to decorate your cupboards in the kitchen, I like to add something just on the doorknob. These ones, something like this is great for that because they are very flat and then will sit against the cupboard itself quite nicely. So first of all, memory wire. Now memory wire is a steel wire, so it is a really hard and then they temper it into this shape, so it becomes a kind of sort of like a long coil. Now do not use your normal cutting pliers for this one, your normal cutters, because this wire is so hard, it will make an indentation in the, I'm just looking if I got one, I probably got one, a plier I ruined, I could show you, but I should have got it out anyway. So it will destroy your normal pliers. So either use heavy duty pliers, or there are memory wire cutters, or if you got a very old pliers which like you do not really care if the sort of the blade will go on it, then you could use those ones as well, but don't use your new one on this one. So we need about just a little bit over a whole loop. So I usually do, like, you can always trim it a little bit more, but I usually do maybe a quarter on the top of it. So I'm just gonna cut this with my, and I quite like to batch do this, so I would sit there and cut all my wire up. There we go, and another one, and so on. I would cut them all into little loops themselves, and then I'm ready. So the next step we will do, we need to create a loop on the top of these where we're going to start our weave, and those loops are going to act, we're going to sort of put the sorry, the red tail through it. I'm brain dead this morning. My daughter went to a Halloween party last night, and I had to go and pick her up very, very late in the night. So I didn't get much sleep. So, but that's what we do. We are taxi service for our children, aren't we? Right, so the next step we're going to do, we're gonna create these little loops on the top. Now, the way how I like to do this, because we're going to be covering up, it doesn't have to be very uniform. However, bending memory wire can be quite tough, because it is really, really strong. So what I like to do usually is to hold approximately right in the middle where my two rounds overlap. And I'm going to go ahead and just get one end, and I just bend it up a little bit, got another hand and bend that up a little bit as well. So I kind of got my middle, and I know where I want to come back with my little loops there. Good morning, Jan, Sheila, Mina, good morning. Oh, thank you, Kitty. And I made 20 mini baubles from 2 kids last night. Want to try earrings now in these mini baubles. Oh, I think they would look really good. Francis, good morning. Anastasia is here. Good morning as well. Peace and love. Happy Friday, everyone. Enjoy your day this weekend. Oh, bless. That's so nice. So from here, we're going to roll this end into a little circle. Now, because the memory wire is already sort of partially bent this way, I find it's easier to kind of go with where it's already been curved. If you want to go against it, it will be harder. So I just go, I probably take the largest setting on my little roundness plier here, and I'm just going to loop this down. I'm just going to curl this down. If it goes sort of around itself and it's more than one curl, then that's fine too. That means once the end we put something through it, it will be nice and secure. I'm going to do the same on the other side as well. There we go. Just keep holding on to it and just keep curling it round and round and round until I get to that middle point. And I'm just going to leave that there for a sec. I could take this down a little bit more because you can adjust this later later on. So we have got our memory wire, we got loops on that, and then it's sort of decision which color are we going to use. I'm going to go for this lovely green in here. Now, lark's head. So I'm going to go, I don't you got 5 meters in your pack, so there's a couple of ways you could do this, because you don't really want to have too much wastage in this one. And doing the lark's head without the loops, obviously you need less. If you're doing the loops on there, then you need more for this one. But what I like to do, I kind of always measure it to myself. So I go with my arm all the way to the tip of my finger to the other shoulder, and that's about 1 meter. So I will take one length of that, and then I will take another length which is from the other shoulder to the tip of my finger, so I know that's about 1.6 meters, which is don't ask me in feet, but probably about 5 feet, I guess, in lengths, because I always got my arms and shoulders, so I can always measure to that one. Come on, Sing, you make it look like so easy to bend the wire. I find them so strong. So these ones are 50 millimeter ones, and some of the memory wires can be thicker. So this one is 0.5 millimeter in thickness, I think, or is it 0.6? So this one is easier to bend. Some of them, when you get like the 1 mil ones, really thick ones, they are really, really hard to manage. Right, so I'm gonna start in the middle with this one. So in theory, you could start on one side, and just leave a little bit of a tail, and then go all the way around. But I don't like to work with very long length at the same time, so I'm going to start in the middle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop the rat tail through the loop, and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to pull the ends through. So So I'm just going to do a little knot on there, so just like that. So when we have the only two things we're going to be doing this is we're going to be pulling our rat tail through either the front or the back of our loop here. Now I quite like to hold on to this. Some people like to pin it down. I don't like to pin it down. I like to just sort of get started. I can sit on the sofa because the memory wire is quite stiff. I got something to hold on to. So what we're going to be doing is going to be pushing the rat tail through from the back first and bring it through. I'm just going to do it sort of in one step, and then I'm going to put the end through this loop what I created and pull this up. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push from the front to the back and then come back to the front with my end. So back to the front and through the back. I'm going to show you in a second how to kind of really speed this up and pull it nice and tight. This will move around the wire, which is normal, and then from the front to the back and then come back to the front through the loop you created, and this is all you're going to do all the way around. So how to decide if you have to go to front to back or back to front. So if I turn this to the side, you can see this is my working one here. It's either sticking to the front, or let me just do one. Let's pull this through, or it's sticking to the back. So when it's sticking to the back, I want to go through from the front. So it's sticking to the back, so I'm going to come through from the front to the back and then back to the front through the loop I have created. So it's sticking to the front, or sticking to the if I turn it sort of up for you, I kind of sort of work with backs and fronts, but you can work with left and rights as well. Good morning, Lucy, nice to see you here. John, good morning. So sticking to the left, so I'm going to come from the right to the left, and then come through that loop. And pull it up nice and tight. And you're just going to keep on going and doing the same thing over and over again. Let me just straighten this up. There we go. Going and doing the same thing over and over again. Now, I kind of sort of like to speed this up. So in the same sort of movement, I will just hold on to the very last knot there. I'm going to push this through my fingers, and I'm kind of like sort of reach in from the back and pull this through, and then do the same from the front as well. So I'm going to be pushing, I'm kind of sort of adding it across, let's say adding it across my memory wire. I'm going to go down with my fingers and pull the end through. So you can really speed up what you and how you do it, how you do make the knots, because sometimes it's just nice to have something quick, I guess, and just keep going round and round. Right, so if we wanted to create loops in this, and if you wanted to have, you know, a bit of decoration, so let's say I'm going to push this, I'm going to do a couple more here. So it's sticking to one side, so I'm going to come from the other side and then going through, sticking to the back, so I'm going to come again from the front and pull it through, sticking to the front, going to come from the back and pull it through. So very quickly you can go around it. Now I'm going to push this to one side and I'm going to create some. Now you could do that all the way around, maybe just a couple more. I'm just conscious I don't want to run out of the red tail on the other end, and I want those loops right bang in the middle. So I'm just going to do a couple more. There we go. So I just want to add, just pull this out, maybe 2 or 3 of uneven numbers work better, I guess. So I'm gonna go for 3 loops at the bottom. Now creating loops is so easy, and you don't really need anything sort of extra for it, but what you want, you can do it by eye, but what you want to make sure that each loop is exactly the same size. So I usually just use, and I'm just going to grab some pencils which are the same width. There we go. We got a couple of pencils here. Nothing exciting about them. They're just some pencils. So what I like to do here is, so I want to be able to have, we need one more. So they're sticking to the front. I'm going to come from the back and pull it through. So I want to be able to have that red tail going across, and I know the next one is I want to have the larger loop with it. So I'm gonna sticking to the back, so now I'm gonna have to come from the front. I'm just gonna do this that way, and then I'm gonna come through the loop itself. But before I pull this tight, I'm just gonna stick a thing pencil in there, and then sticking to the front. So I'm gonna come from the back. You can do crochet hooks if you have multiple crochet hooks the same size. Anything really will do. Probably larger than a skewer. There we go. Now I'm not going to remove this pencil until I do the next one. So again, going from the front to back, pulling this up, and then before I pull that tight, I'm going to add the second pencil in and pull this tight. It helps if the pencils are the same length. There we go. So I'm going to hold on to those pencils, pull it nice and tight, and then I'm going to come back to front, back into the loop, pull this tight, and I'm ready to do the next one. So front to back, I'm going to pull this around before the loop disappears. I'm going to remove this pencil and move it along and add it in there and pull this up nice and tight. Then I'm sticking to the front, so I'm going to come from the back and then back out. In that one, I'm going to remove both of them at this time. Oh, the light just came on. I'm going to remove both of them at this end. I'm going to push this up a bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and do more knots all the way around. There we go. But you could do these little loops all the way around if you wanted to. That looks really good as well. But very easy and very nice and therapeutic, I think, to do knots. I love my bead waving. I love doing all sorts of things, you know, stitching beads together, but I think knots are really good as well. And I've seen it somewhere, this was a few years ago, there are so many different knots. There's so many different knots. We can knot a rope or anything. I just find it fascinating. This is saying I might have a go of this. I did get the mini bauble kit. Yeah, the mini baubles, I think they're gonna be good. I really want to like get one of those little trees, little Christmas trees, like a real one for here for the office again. And those baubles will be perfect for that one. But I just want a little one. I don't want the great big one. The one which is potted, but I haven't seen them in the supermarkets yet. Usually you can buy them maybe after Halloween. They put them out. But you can buy those potted ones quite early. So I'm just gonna go all the way around. There we go, and then back to front. So I'm either coming back to front or front to back and then going back through the loop all the way around. There we go. Just want to make sure I don't come out on the end there. And it's as you're holding on to your memory wire, if you're pulling a little bit too strong, it can bend out of a little bit of a shape, but you can always sort of shape it back in. Just sort of pull it and push it. It's quite strong. Let me just have a look. I could count the knots. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we need a few more on this side. So those 3 loops then will be right in the middle. There we go.
Hey, Mom.
And then there, and then I'm sticking to the front, so I'm going to come from the back. Christopher is just up. Good morning. Say good morning to everybody.
Morning. I didn't know you were live.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more we need. So that's our 10th. And if I do a half, then we'll be in the same position that we were on the other side. There we go. So what I like to do, I like to pop these ends through. So I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter and come through one loop and the other loop at the same time with it. From the other side. So one loop and the other loop. I'm going to pull this to the back. The same on the other one. You can add a little ribbon where they're joining. There is so many different ways you can decorate this. And I think if, like, you know, we all did one, it might be completely very different. Just going to poke it through. One. Get it through and pull that one through as well. So both pulled it through the loops. So now we're going to decorate this a little bit further. In the end we can trim the ends, and they can act as, like, you know, the little loop as well, so we can hang it up. So I got 3 little loops here. The middle one is a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to get my round nose pliers and I'm going to pop them in here, and I'm going to open the pliers, kind of pulling the loop open. So putting it in and popping and forcing it with my hand to open even more. That's how I like to kind of sort of make sure they are similar sizes. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use some head pins. you. And we are going to make a little charm out of these as well. You could wrap the loop or you can turn the loop on the top. It's really up to you what you would like to do with it. I find it sometimes I like wrapping loops because it's a little bit more secure for jewelry. For, you know, home decor, it's not that much important sometimes because you're only putting it up somewhere. So, well, it depends on where it is. So if it's in an area where you can sort of knock on it and go by it so much, they could come off. But most of the time, sort of simple loops are secure. I'm going to show you both. So if you want to do a wrap loop, I am going to hold this just right by the end, leaving a little bit of gap, maybe about, you know, a couple of millimeters there. Then I'm going to get another pair of pliers and I'm going to take this all the way around and I'm going to wrap this wire underneath, just like that. Now if you wanted to do just a straight loop, and sometimes actually, I'm just gonna straighten the up, trim the end. Where's my smaller pliers? Smaller cutters. So this one will do. I'm just trim the end, and I like to tuck the end in regardless of if it's a decoration or if it's something what I'm gonna be wearing. I'm just gonna sort of pushing it, tuck it in. Now if you have got a slightly thinner head pin or head pin ball, then wrapping it around is probably the right way to go. If you have got something which is more of a sturdy pin, then a loop is probably enough, or the other thing what you could do is to coil it. So I'm going to take this down, I'm going to band this on the top of it. So instead of wrapping a loop, I'm going to coil this down. I probably don't need that long, so I'm just going to trim a little bit on the end of it, and then I'm going to get my round nose and I'm going to turn it and turn it and turn it, and there will be a point when the beginning sort of kind of comes back on itself, but I'm just going to get that to the side and keep on turning it. So that is a wrapped loop we can do on the top of it, which is really nice and secure as well because it can't fall off then. And the third way, we can just create a little loop. I'm going to add this on. Now I'm going to have to cut this quite short because I only want the loop length there. Once again, I'm going to grab with my pliers. Now you can either bend it first and then roll it down, or kind of sort of roll it down. I kind of roll it down and bend it at the same time. So I'm going to go there and just going to keep on bringing it around. You can stop at any time or any phase of this rolling it around and readjust yourself. Take the pliers out, then put it back in and then roll it all the way down. Make sure it's centralized. So I'm just going to pop it in and pull it to the center, just like that. So we've got 3 different charms we're going to add on there. I'm going to use some jump rings. And Jenny's asking, are you going to be doing the 12 years of Christmas this year? I'm probably not supposed to tell you yet, but yes, we are. So that will be coming up. I'm sure it's probably about releasing in a couple of weeks, but it's a secret so far, so don't tell anybody I said anything. So I'm gonna open up this jump ring by twisting it apart. I'm gonna grab one of my little charms, put it on the bottom, and then put it through that larger loop I created. Sometimes you have to open it quite a bit because that tiger tail is quite thick. There we go. So I'm going to add all 3 to the bottom with 3 different jump rings. 2. And then we're going to add a charm into the middle. There we go. And the third one. So there's many different ways to make a loop on the top. It depends what's more comfortable for your hand as well. So we got our 3 little dangle little decorations at the top. Now what I want to do, I want to add a charm to the top of it. I'm just going to grab a charm, any charm. Oh, come out. I'm going to put the jingle bells in the middle. So now I can, if I add 1 jump ring, it's going to sit slightly to the top. If I add 2 jump rings, it's going to sit slightly to the middle. Both of them is quite fine. It's really up to you. What would you like to do? Sometimes I sit them towards the top, sometimes I sit them towards the middle. You can have a variety there. So once again, I'm going to open up a jump ring. I'm going to pop my charm on there. And I'm going to go through both of the loops. So if you want it to sit a bit further down, then add an extra jump ring on there. So I would shut this and then take another jump ring out. Let me just hold it with this one. That's it. There we go. And then I'm just going to go in, shut that jump ring. And we got our little charm in the middle as well. There's a couple of things you could do at the top. You could make a little bow. You know, you could just knot it off. There is so many different ways you could do. I'd quite like to. So as I came in, I'm gonna go back out in sort of tidy this up, back out on the very last loop. So I'm just gonna use my round nose here to pull this through. And then pull that a little bit tighter and do the same with the other one. So then my ends are kind of sort of facing towards the top. There we go. And I'm gonna do I could do an overnet knot right at the bottom here to holding it all together, which means I'm gonna bring both of these around my fingers and then pull the ends through. And once this knot created, I'm going to make sure I'm going to pull this right to the bottom. I'm going to pull it, so at the same time I'm pulling with my fingers here, I'm pulling the cord out and pushing down with my thumb and index finger, so that knot is going to sit right on the top there. There we go. So we've done 1 overhead knot just to bind them together, and I'm going to do one probably about 4 or 5 inches at the top to secure it as a loop. Alternatively, I had a larger length here. I could have knotted that to the bottom with the overhead knot and not use the other string. I've also had a continuous loop. There's so many different ways you could do it, and then trim the ends. Now I quite like to add a little decoration to the end of the rope sometimes as well. So you could make another little knot on each one of the end of those, and as you do it, you could knot a jump ring with a charm on there. So I'm just gonna make the knot to show you. Actually, let's just grab a jump ring. So let's imagine there is a charm hanging off this one already, a little beaded, and I would just knot that to the end. So when it's hanging up, I got a bit of decoration on the end there, and usually sort of those end bits will either sort of flip to one side or to another side. Let me just zoom out a little bit. We'll flip to one side or another side to adding kind of sort of extra decoration and detail on it. But that's there is to it, to doing the lark's head knot, and decorating and finishing your, there's 6 different colors, and I'm going to pop you to the website very quickly to show you where they are. Hang on, there we go. When you don't need it, your computer always comes with so many notifications. There we go. So by now you know the drill. It's totallybeads.co.uk where you need to go to. We got so many different things on there, many tutorials going back quite a while. So I'm going to click on jewelry making. I'm going to go into video tutorials, and today's is just in the second row. It's called Macrame Christmas Wreaths. Do have a look at them. We set it up in a couple of different ways, so you can have the wreath on its own, which is this doesn't include the charms, but this includes the beads, the head pins, the jump rings, the memory wire, and the 6 colors of rat tail as well. So you have 6 colors of rat tail in there. And then we separately added, because you might have your own charms you want to add in there, or you might not want to add charms in there, we added a 15 pieces of animal Christmas charm sort of mix for you. The mix is like a totally mixed, like whatever is in stock you can have, and it makes 15. So the macrame kit will make 15, and then you have got 15 pieces of charms there add on the top of it if you wanted to, but you could use them for so many different other things as well. Rachel said love the decoration, thank you. Oh, come and say very cute, thank you very much. I like the idea, maybe even a wooden bead. Yeah, you could put something. I presume, Joanne, that was for the end, but you could, like, decorate the ends as well a little bit, just adding that little bit of extra detail on there. Love that, looks so nice, so sweet. Thank you so much. I love this idea. Great craft, would be lovely on a gift instead of bought. Yeah, absolutely. You could put this on, like, if you wrap up a gift, you could put it on the gift itself, and then the person could keep it as a little decoration for their tree. I always love doing or love receiving little presents like that what other people made for, especially for Christmas, because we got a big tree and then there is so much space on it, and it's so nice to see that oh, so and so made this for me, and so made that for me, and so made that one for me, and it just kind of like makes you think of that person every single Christmas, and reflect on them, and give them a call, or if they're no longer with us, then remember them. So I think it's really nice to do something like that. Thank you very much. So I am heading into the bead club. We are doing crystal flowers today, which are winter flowers, I call them, which are really lovely. Oh, let me just change the camera back. I just want to show you this because I really do love. Stop sharing my screen. There we go. So I really love these ones. What we are working on at the moment. They're beautiful, sort of using this crystal comb beads. I just love it. I'm quite memorized by it and how it turned out. And some of them you can make double-sided, or you can have single-sided. If you want with that one. Right, everybody, have a beautiful week. Laura's with you next week. I'm just like, what week? It's half term. Like, when half term, like, all my time concept goes out of like what even day it is of the week. But Laura's going to be with you next week, and I'll be with you in a couple of weeks. Everybody have a beautiful time. Have a good week.